For me, Wichita means to me, Wichita is, if you read or if you've seen The Lord of the Rings, it's the Shire. Wichita is like the home base where the adventure starts for all of us Wichitans, and eventually, or maybe never, but most people want to go out and destroy the ring in Mordor, and then you come back to Wichita. You bring back what you learned, and you can change Wichita. You can make Wichita better.
Welcome to another episode of the Wichita Life Podcast. Our guests today are one of my younger brothers, Carson, and his girlfriend, Anne-Sophie. Carson recently returned from 14 months of traveling around the world. I wanted to talk about his experience, tell some stories, and try to expand the minds of people who think this type of thing is impossible. Please enjoy my conversation with Carson and Anne-Sophie. All right, so this is Landon. I'm here with Carson, one of my younger brothers, and his girlfriend, Anne-Sophie. So can you guys just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
My name is Carson Huslig, Landon's brother. I'm 23 years old. I grew up in Andover, Kansas. Anne-Sophie?
My name is Anne-Sophie. I'm from France, and I'm a ceramist artist.
Perfect. So we'll start with talking to Carson a little bit, and then we'll kind of dive into the story of their travel and everything else. So, Carson, how do you answer the question, what do you do?
What do I do? I think that depends on who you ask. If you ask me, I'm a young entrepreneur, visionary who's going to create something big in the future. And if you look at it from an external point of view, I'm a 23-year-old that lives with his parents and doesn't pay rent. And yeah, so it really depends on who you ask. Anne-Sophie?
What do I do?
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do, Anne-Sophie?
Doing an internship.
Yeah.
I'm a ceramist, and I'm actually currently doing an internship in Wichita.
Cool.
Perfect.
So Carson, you graduated from Wichita State in December of 2017 with a business degree. What was the plan? What were you thinking leading up to graduation?
Well, before that, I was playing junior college football. I wanted to play junior college football, but I had a lot of injuries, so I ended up going there for effectively no reason. So after I figured out that I was done with football, I kind of shifted all my ambition and my energy into kind of like reading, developing myself, and like trying to become an entrepreneur, businessman, I would say. And when I was at Wichita State, the plan was always to have created a business or some type of project before I graduated so that I could work on that afterwards. And would that be 6 months before I graduated, I had started an Instagram account where I like posted people for money effectively. Like the people would pay me
like a feature page.
Like a feature page, $10 or $20 or whatever they want to for a post. And I was doing that, and I was making like $500 a month maybe before I graduated. So when I graduated, I was thinking, okay, let's see how far I can take this. Let's build this up as much as I possibly can, and then we'll go from there. So that was the plan after Wichita State.
Cool. So what was the original plan for traveling then? When did you realize you wanted to travel? Kind of what inspired that?
That's okay. That I have to go back to when I learned French, which is a really random story. But so it would be 3 years ago now. I was playing Call of Duty on Xbox late at night with another buddy during like spring break or something in college, and we talked to somebody on Xbox Live that was speaking French, and we're like who's this guy? Like let's talk to this guy. Try to speak French to him and stuff. And his name was Irvin, and we ended up becoming friends with him, and he spoke very rudimentary English, and we didn't speak any French, obviously, so we became friends. And I guess he inspired me to try to learn a language, because before I never had any really desire to learn a language. Like I only took one semester of Spanish in, what did that be, freshman year, because I figured out that you actually didn't need 2 semesters or 2 years or whatever to graduate in high school. It's just for the region thing. So I said, I'm not doing that. I don't like Spanish at all. So I only took one semester, but for this time around, it really inspired me, really interested me, and I think it's because maybe it was an organic like introduction to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you had a reason to learn it, right?
Yeah, so. Like, and I had a friend, and it was interesting. I wanted to speak like him, so I practiced with him, and I thought, okay, like how am I gonna learn French? So I started doing Duolingo, which is a very common app. Most people probably know that. And I did what is it, like 5 lessons a day for
500 plus
days.
days.
Very what would you call that? Like neurotic. Like I never missed a day for like 2 years of French. So I had really good French. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to France someday, practice the French, meet people, and explore them. So that's why I wanted to travel. And the original plan to travel was to go 7 weeks in France. And yeah, that was it.
Cool. And a couple summers ago, Irvin came and stayed with you and mom and dad, and
yep, for sure. I don't know how we convinced him to come to Wichita, Kansas for his first time in America.
Out of anywhere.
He did, and he still loves it, so I'm not sure. But yeah.
And you got her here as well, so.
Yeah, I must be good at persuading people on
that. And so originally you go over there, you're planning on just whatever, month and a half, 2 months, 7 weeks or so, and you're with Irvin at first, right?
Yeah, I fly into Paris, and then I went to Orleans. I think that's how you say it in American. Yeah. Orleans, France. Orleans. And I got to backpedal again here for
the city system.
How I met Anne-Sophie. But so I was doing the Instagram when I graduated from college, and I was building it up, and it was making like a pretty good amount of money, but I was also kind of like forcing it to grow. Like I was like on there chatting to people like 8 hours a day, like it was a full-time job, and most of my friends were still in college at K-State or KU and around the country, so I didn't really have a lot of as many social opportunities as I would have liked here. So I was kind of like extremely bored for one, and then for two, like maybe like mildly depressed. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. Like this is not healthy. So I ended up taking a job with my buddy at his dad's company. It's like a wholesale shop in Wichita, a local company, and I did that for 3 weeks, and it was not going well. Like I planned to quit on a Friday, and she took me back to the room, and I got fired on the same day. So I quit / got fired. Mutual leaving decision. And then during that period of work, I didn't expect to travel because I was going to work there for a while. So I kind of like let my French go to the side. So my French in my head was like a little bit diminished. So I was like, okay, I got to take back my French. And to do that, I downloaded an app where you can like chat with people from other countries who speak your target language. Mm-hmm. And then I just practiced. And that's how I met Anne-Sophie. So, yeah. I don't know where you want to go from there, but
yeah, you guys want to talk a little more about that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people you could have talked with. Why was it random that you guys met? Well,
I was learning English before I planned to go in Australia.
Okay. Yeah, she was learning English, and I think she only was on the app for like a couple of days.
It was my 3rd day on the app.
Yeah, and then I randomly, and she almost deleted it from talking to like. No, never mind. I'm not gonna go there. But please don't know. Anyway. But yeah, so then I got on there, so it's kind of lucky, and I don't remember why, honestly, I picked her profile. I think it was because it was like, she was one of the only people from Switzerland.
Yeah.
So it's like a different flag on like the list.
Swiss flag.
Yeah. So that's honestly one of the reasons that it like stood out. Otherwise, just random people, so yeah.
Sure. So tell me about, so you get to France, you're hanging out with Irvin for a little bit. What were your next steps before you met up with Anne-Sophie?
So I went to Orléans, and I was exploring there, and then Anne-Sophie was she was living in Switzerland for the last 5 years, going to school. Days. She was on holiday from art school, so she was at her family's in Angoulême. And that's like, how far is that from Irvin's?
I think it's 4 or 5 hours.
Probably a 4 or 5 hour drive from Orléans. So it was kind of matching up that I was close to where she lived and the time that she had vacation at her parents' house. Mm-hmm. It's like, we have to meet there. Like, we've been talking so much, we might as well see each other while I'm there. Yeah. So Irvin drove me 2.5 hours, and Anne-Sophie, who never drives a car.
No, I drove the car.
She drove
maybe 10 minutes.
She doesn't drive long distance at all, but she took her dad's minivan halfway there, 2.5 hours as well.
At Saint-Maur-de-Touraine.
Yes, this little village that is forever etched in our memory. And then our first date was actually dinner at her parents' house with her family that doesn't speak any English. With my
it was really weird.
How was that, being completely like immersed in?
I felt good. I mean, it was kind of like I would speak French, and then Anne-Sophie would translate my French back into French. Because she understood my accent, but her family.
It was really funny.
Were they struggling to understand?
Yeah, like I don't know. Sometimes I would understand them, they wouldn't understand me, and vice versa. Like her dad's accent was really strong, so like he'd say something, I'm like, il a dit quoi? Like, and so like, what did he say? And then like she'd translate. But
on Hello Talk, were you guys just texting, or were you guys calling too?
I think after the second day we used WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And then it was like text,
The connection
and video call,
text
maybe.
call,
You would
video
call.
call.
Yeah.
every day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about meeting an American that you knew, but that you didn't really know?
No, not really.
Not really nervous?
I was so crazy, I think.
Her brother was like really concerned, like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, you're gonna go meet this random guy. Like,
Okay, so it's
gonna
not
abduct you.
necessarily common because in
Yeah,
America,
sure.
if you tell an American that you're gonna go meet up with some random person that you haven't met, like they're gonna be like, "What are you thinking?"
Yeah.
I think it's the
So-
same.
I think a lot of people around me thought about that, but
You
not me.
thought you were crazy, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
For
You just
sure.
kind of know, I guess. Like
Yeah.
we'd called so many times that it wasn't really that crazy for
Right.
us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
mhm.
So Anne-Sophie, what is your background and where are you originally from?
So I'm from France. My family live in a little city close to Bordeaux.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 1 hour drive from the west coast. And I lived the last 5 years in Switzerland, where I did my graduation in ceramics. And yeah,
Was
no.
this where in Switzerland?
In Lausanne, and my school was in Vevey.
Which is like the most beautiful place on
Yeah.
earth. If you need
I
to
miss
Google it.
a lot.
Yeah, we'll link that up. We'll
Google
get that name.
Lausanne,
Yeah.
Switzerland. It is.
Lausanne.
So
Magnifique.
beautiful. Yeah.
So now that you're in the beautiful city of Wichita, how much do you miss Switzerland?
It was really weird because during the travel I didn't really miss Switzerland, but now I'm really sad, and sometimes I feel like I want to live there again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know for the moment, but
I feel like at the time you lived there for 5 years, so you didn't like. Maybe you wanted a break because sometimes the people there.
you
are kind
don't
of, like,
realize
sometimes the people there
how
are
you
kind
are
of like.
lucky to live in this kind of
Yeah.
environment and beautiful
Yeah.
landscape. It's really amazing. The quality of life is perfect.
You get used to it probably, and then she
Yeah.
wanted a break, and then like after you're gone, you're like, wow, like that was amazing. Like I'd like to go back.
Sure. So I don't think we've actually gotten into it on the podcast yet, just in the intro, but where all did you go after that? What other countries from here, I guess?
So started in France, and I'll just take you down the path of the trajectory where I went. So started in France, went to see Anne-Sophie in the southwest, went up north, and then went east to Belgium, like Brussels, went to the Netherlands, Amsterdam.
And
I was
then-
gonna go to Germany, but Anne-Sophie had like a week off of school, so I was gonna actually go down through Germany, but then I decided to fly to Geneva.
Yeah.
So I'd be there when she didn't have school. So I went to
You
Switzerland
spent
next.
3 weeks.
3 weeks there,
Yeah.
and then went back into France, hit the south of France, like Nice and all the French Riviera and those places you hear about in rap
Yeah.
songs if you listen to rap like me. And then went west, went to Spain,
In
Spain for a while, went to Portugal.
I joined you in Portugal.
And then after Portugal, she was there with me in Portugal, but then after that, it's kind of like a part of our story where it was very back and forth. Like we'd be together for like 3 weeks, like having an amazing time, and then she'd have to go back to school, and I'd be like, in Spain by myself.
Mm-hmm.
We got back together in Portugal, and then like we were in Croatia for a while. So it was back and forth, which is a really interesting part of our relationship.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, it wasn't planned at all. Like we didn't know where we were gonna be the next month, but like
Yes.
it was an interesting way to start a relationship because we were always like together 24/7, or we weren't together at all. So it was really black and white for a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, we went to Croatia, Montenegro, back to Paris, and then Australia, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, like Western United States, and then finally home after 14
Wow.
months.
Wow. Anne-Sophie, did you travel a lot before you met Carson?
Yes, I travel mostly in Europe, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago I went to Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe 5 years ago in Japan as well. So
Right.
yeah,
Which I think it's a little bit easier over there, right?
yes.
Definitely.
Europe, everything's
In
right
Europe,
there. It's
yes.
a little bit easier to go
you
border
only
to
have
border.
to drive maybe 8 hours to.
And there's trains everywhere and
Yeah.
$20 flights and EasyJet.
Yeah.
So
We are really lucky.
I definitely didn't travel before this. I went to like
Colorado.
Branson, Missouri, Denver, Colorado. Like we went on a cruise when we were younger, I
Nebraska,
guess, but I
yeah.
don't really remember it. So I'd hit like the maybe Midwest 9 states before this. So
Right.
a little bit
So
out of
then
character.
you're like, at what point was your 7 weeks about up, your return flight, and what was the thought process there?
Yeah, before I left, like even when I was like, like hugging, kissing my mom before I left, I was like, this is probably gonna be 3 months, and I was just thinking like, I have enough money, like maybe I'll never be able to do this again. Like I really need to take advantage of this opportunity and see as many places as I can. So I was like, it's probably gonna be 3 months, so don't freak out, you know, like be ready for me to be gone that long, basically. She's like, oh no, she starts crying, but that's just how it is. But yeah, so I knew it'd be 3 months, and then once I got there, honestly, pretty early on, I was like,
you were telling us, so you're like, yeah,
like why not, you know, like honestly, I was thinking like, why don't I just keep doing this until like I run out of money, if that comes, or if I can make it as far as I can, like save $1,000 from where I'm at and buy a plane ticket to get home, but just like take it as far as I can, see as many things as I can. Like I don't have like kids at home, I don't have a car to pay off, so I was like, might as well live this thing to the fullest. Like not a lot of people have this opportunity, so.
Yep, definitely. And what was the struggle? Because I don't know the the rules completely, but you basically had 3 months in Europe, right?
Yeah, you
the
have
visa situation.
Depends the countries. It's with the Schengen zone.
You have 3 months in the Schengen zone, which is like most of the typical Western Europe countries, and then outside of that would be like the Croatias, the Czechoslovakias, the places like that. Those aren't in the zone. But so I used up my first 3 months, and then after that, it's like, okay, Anne-Sophie still has to finish school. She was already planning to go to Australia for a year. After that, you already had your plane ticket, right?
Yeah.
So she already had a plane ticket, so I'm like, okay, I got to buy like a month and a half of time or like 2 months of time. So I was like, where's close? Where's really cheap? And like, where can I kind of enjoy myself while I'm waiting for this? And where could I save up some money? Because like, I wanted to go somewhere with low expenses so I could build up a little bit more money to continue the trip.
Yeah.
So we landed on Croatia, and I was like, okay, I don't know anything about Croatia. Like,
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I'm from Kansas, and I'm probably one of the more ignorant people geographically.
Even me, I
From Kansas, like
don't
even
know
she's from
anything,
France. She
so.
didn't know anything about Croatia, so I was like, okay, we'll go there,
There's
sure.
a beautiful landscape. But that's all.
And the first day was honestly the first night. I got there late on a late flight, and what was the story? I got to think of this. It was so I pull up. I get taken from the airport to this like port on a bus. I don't have an Airbnb yet because I was kind of like this entire trip.
Yeah.
This entire trip, I just kind of like went by the seat of my pants. Like when I arrive in a place, like okay, I'll actually. This is actually important. I got to say this as well. The first 2 months and a week, or almost 2.5 months, I didn't pay any accommodation for the entire first 2.5 months. I would stay with Irvin. I stayed with Anne-Sophie. I would stay with like the friend of Irvin. I would stay with random people I met on like
mom's coworker's son that happened to live somewhere.
Mom's coworker's son. I would meet random people in the street.
Yeah.
I stayed with like
McDonald's or
I stayed with 2 gay politicians in Brussels. I've stayed with a 78-year-old grandma in Nice, France. Just whoever I could find, honestly, like nice people reached out to me all the time, which was pretty awesome.
in the train in Spain as well.
In Spain, I was trying to go like across the town, honestly, to get into a what do you call that? You take a car with other people. Carpooling. Sorry about my English. It's what is that called in French? Yeah, blah blah car. So it's like carpooling, and you pay a little bit, and you can go like across different countries. So I was going across the city of Sevilla in Spain to get onto a blah blah car, and I took the wrong train. Like these Spanish guys helped me, but I apparently didn't listen good enough. So I get on the wrong train. It's supposed to be like a 5-minute train across the city, and I've been on the train for like 20 minutes. So I'm talking to this guy Javier next to me, and I'm like, dude, like, is this the right? This seems like it's been pretty long. Like, I don't know why I'm still on this train. He's like, dude, we're going to Cadiz. I'm like, what? Like, that's now I'm supposed to be going. I was just going like that side of Sevilla. He's like, no, this train's like an hour and a half. And I was like, oh crap! Like, and I didn't have the ticket or anything. So like, the controller guy comes and he's like, you don't have the ticket? And I was like, no, like it was honestly like an accident. And he's like, okay, it's fine, but you just have to pay this. So I'm with this guy Javier, and he's like, yeah, but where are you staying tonight? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't know I was coming here. So he's like, okay, me and my buddy Semu are going fishing on the beach, and you can come with us. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, maybe they'll ask me to stay over, but whatever. Like, I'll just find something there. So I got these guys. We go to the beach, and Javier's just like a normal Spanish guy, and Semu is like a what do you call it? Black hair, ponytail, like. Smoking weed, like just like classic chill guy. So we're just on the beach with like nobody else. We're fishing, catching a bunch of fish. Go back to his apartment, fry up the fish, make French fries.
Drink wine.
He's a winemaker. Like his dad owns a winery. He studied making wine, so he has all these custom wines of like strawberry wine, melon wine, like all this like amazing stuff. And we're just sitting on the balcony eating, just talking about everything. Like we were best friends for like years, and like I just met these guys. I stayed with them, and yeah, so like. I don't know. I just had so many random experiences on the trip. Not to go off on a tangent, but like,
please do.
But like I had that. I had in the south of France, I asked to work out with these guys, and they were the national rowing team of France. So I got to go like rowing with the national rowing team just by asking around. Like, what are some other random?
A lot.
But basically, I learned a lot that you can just like, if you ask to do something or like join someone, most of the time they're gonna say yes, and you can get a lot of experiences by just asking around. Like, they're not gonna yell at you. They're not gonna get you in trouble. Like, just ask. So.
Yeah, I think it's similar. Like just say in Wichita, if you met somebody that seemed lost, or say Anne-Sophie's walking the street and you don't know her and she's speaking French, like we'd probably try to help because they clearly are in a spot where they're uncomfortable. They're out of their comfort zone.
100%.
Natural.
Yeah. So where else did you stay? So you didn't pay for a lot of those places, but did you stay in hostels, Airbnbs, hotels? What?
There's the first night in Spain, I was like, this status quo should be easy. The Spanish people are supposed to be the nicest in Europe, so they're easily gonna ask me to stay at their house. I was really a little overconfident in that, so I get there and like I'm starting to talk to the Spanish people, and my freshman year Spanish one semester did not pay off, so I couldn't really communicate. So I'm like, just nothing's going right. Like I cannot communicate at all.
I think you were texting us the whole time.
Yeah. Always texting them like a live feed, my two brothers. And then, but there was no communication. They didn't speak any English. My Spanish was non-existent. Like, I can say churros without rolling the R. So it's already affected.
Especially during the night.
Yeah, it was getting late. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So like, I kept trying and like I almost had one. And then like the person flaked out and like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have to pay for a hotel, which is like
oh no.
It was heartbreaking for me.
Anything with
3 months traveling.
3 months I finally had to pay, and I was like, oh my God, like this is gonna destroy the budget. Like, is this sustainable now? Like, I was so stressed. And then like, so I buy a hotel for like $35, and it was like right in the middle of like a prime Spain city, which in hindsight is like nothing. Like I would pay that in a heartbeat, but like at the time I hadn't paid, and I'd never been in the situation, so I was stressed. Like, oh, I'm gonna run out of money now, all this stuff, but. I stay there, and then after that, it was Airbnbs for 10 months. So apparently, I didn't run out of money. It wasn't the end of the world, but yeah.
Right. When you guys first go to a place, so we had Rolf Potts, Rolf, Vagabonding. He wrote a book, Vagabonding, about travel. Big time author. He was on the podcast, and we talked about there was. Some people, when they first go to a place, like they'll first go to the beach or they'll first go to somewhere to kind of like center themselves. That like helps them get comfortable, and then they can go explore wherever they're at. What was that? Did you guys have anything like that, or what was that space for you guys?
The beach for sure.
If there was a beach, the beach. But honestly, it depends on the transition. Because like if you're going from Spain to Portugal, it's not like a big deal, but
the culture and
the culture too, how similar it is to what you've been to already. But like if it was like an international flight, like if you're going from like Australia to Japan or something like this, that's when it was the most stressful, honestly. And you're kind of like a chicken with your head cut off, like figuring out where everything is, how the culture works, just getting organized. Anne-Sophie would always be super stressed, so we'd usually get an argument about that time, which is like our
maybe the only one.
Our practice. Like the only time we argue is like that situation. So you get in arguments, but then go to the ocean, go to a coffee shop, and
that's the most important.
See how much a coffee is, which is like the standard unit of account for us. Like there's an Americano.
That can help you adjust to where you're at and how expensive a place is.
I think we spent 2 days like that just to see.
Learn the currency, and learn how.
Have an idea about all the depends.
If it's expensive or not.
So how did that process work? So every time you got to a new city, did you have to exchange currency? Could you just use your card?
That's a common misconception. Maybe like people are always worried about cash, but I would never get cash. The only time I got cash.
Maybe just in Japan.
Because they have like a lot of small vendors when you had to have cash to buy anything, but like. Most of the trip, I only use my card.
Yeah. And so do they charge like an extra fee since you're...
The ATM or for...
ATMs or wherever, anywhere.
The ATM, they kind of destroy you, so that's why I helped that we didn't get cash, but it was like...
You can
3 or 5%,
have
right?
some option with your bank as well.
Yeah.
Travel, so.
Nice. I mean, I guess most banks and cards are big companies, so...
Yeah. But also when you were changing a lot, we didn't want to... Like, if I have like a lot of Croatian... What was it called? Kunas. I didn't want to have that left over when I go to Australia, and so I just like using a card. Honestly, it's so much easier.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, the coffee will like if you get there and it's like a $1 Americano, you're in good shape, and you can drink 3 when you go to read your book every morning. So like, and then if you're in like Japan and you're getting that like a $6 Starbucks, you gotta really chill. Yeah. Maybe 1 a week or something, But yeah. It just depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
So what are some lessons learned that you guys had, and interpret that however you like?
Be minimalist.
Be minimalist. Pack light, for sure.
Yeah. And what is packing light to you? Is that like so
Like
you probably have a travel backpack or whatever you use to travel with, some kind of a backpack,
you
more
only
than likely.
travel with a backpack.
The light backpack. Before I left, I was gonna
Carry
bring.
on in the plane.
Yeah, only carry-ons in the plane. Before I left, I was gonna bring my actual backpack that I brought and a suitcase. I don't know why, but I thought of doing that at first. And I talked to Anne-Sophie before, and she's like, "Yeah, you thought about it?" And then she's like, "Absolutely not." And I talked to Landon and was like, "Yeah, I don't need that much stuff." And like, if I would have brought that, I don't know what I would have done. That would have been way too much.
You can buy if you need.
Yeah, definitely buy. We got that from Tim Ferriss too.
Yeah.
Like, bring the bare essentials, and you can buy stuff, you can throw stuff away, and you can kind of survive off whatever. But I'd say always bring less than you think. Like, I probably brought like 8 pairs of clothes in my laptop. I wish I didn't bring my laptop because it weighs like 6 pounds or something like this.
No more.
It's super old. It's a
Yeah.
dinosaur, so I wish I didn't bring that. And I wish I brought less clothes.
Books.
And
Just
I wish I would have had a Kindle instead of
Yeah.
that. Lessons learned. What else?
Yeah.
What other lessons do we have?
Maybe just get a tablet next time, you can read on
Definitely a
that and use it
tablet.
as a computer.
Yeah, or like an iPad or something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But what other lessons?
So what does that look like packing clothes then? You said as little as you can, so you taking like a pair of shorts and a pair of
Yeah.
pants and
we
3
roll
shirts or
all the
something?
stuff.
I think when people are imagining a backpack, since this is audio, it's not like it's not like those huge what do you call those people? Like a traditional
The
backpack, or they have the
hiker.
backpack that's like the length of their body and they can barely walk.
Yeah.
Mine was like a little bit bigger than like the backpack a middle schooler would have. You know, like I had probably 6 or 7 pairs of clothes and my laptop, and that was it. Like, and Anne-Sophie had a little bit bigger one, but not much,
Yeah,
honestly.
no.
They were always in the carry-on on the plane, so
Yeah.
if you can think of that size.
Right. What other lessons? Do you guys have any other lessons you learned from traveling or?
Don't stress, because like almost every time when you're freaking out over, I think the trip is like a metaphor for the life, la vie, for life. And like you're always gonna have these little events and stressors in life that are gonna like provoke you to think, oh my god, like this is it, like this is the end of the world, like
And-
I don't
and
know
you
what I'm
have-
gonna do. But
And you have so much resources. Sorry.
tu veux dire quoi?
À l'intérieur de.
Yeah, like you're stronger than you think, and like it's never like that serious. Like I think a lot of stuff in life you're gonna get like punched in the face, but if you just like take a deep breath and you say, okay, what is this really? Okay, that's not that bad. Like I never lost my wallet or anything, but like say you lost your wallet, like at the beginning you're gonna freak out, but like if you really break it down, like it's not that big of a deal.
You
Like
can figure it out.
you're always gonna be fine. Like that's probably like the biggest lesson of the whole trip, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think learning that, and I've talked to another friend that did a mission trip in Brazil for 2 years, and he said that's like for sure the biggest thing. Like when you come back, like nothing can face you. Like after you've been on your own and out there, and like all this random stuff can happen, like you're never that worried. Like
Right.
everything's gonna be fine every time.
Yeah.
You kind of already talked about this, but inspiration for travel. Any
Oh, for
comments
sure.
on that?
I would say it's like a lot of people, everyone says that they want to travel. Everyone says that's their
Need
dream.
money.
Everyone says that, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get all this money and then I'm going to travel like all the time. But like you can easily do that now. And I think a lot of the type of reading I've been doing with Tim Ferriss and Tribe of Mentors and Tools of Titans, they have a lot of people that give this advice. But like you don't need to wait. You don't have to do the
No.
deferred life plan. You can just go now, and
You have no excuse.
you have no excuse. Most people have the money. Like I barely made any
You
money
don't
last
need
year.
to pay rent. You
Yeah.
don't need to buy gas or stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than you think, and yeah, like you don't need to wait. Like you never know if you're gonna die next week. So like, get out there and see some
Yeah.
stuff. And what else was I gonna say? What was the question again?
Just inspiration for travel.
Oh yeah, yes. Like I don't know if it's like a hero's journey type thing or like something like that. If you guys are familiar with that, but like I feel
Joseph
like
Campbell, Hero's Journey.
if you want to do something big, you kind of like have to like go on a big adventure and like see the world before you can have that perspective to like do big things. So I wanted to get out there and see everything and get a lot of inspiration. It's actually it's not my inspiration for the travel.
Yeah.
It's the travel is inspiration for me and my life and stuff.
As well, my family didn't have the opportunity to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, my father never took a plane or stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so curious to see more around the world, and
Also, my source of income, like, it's not that much at all, but just to have the free time and the ability to make money when you're moving gave me like our parents didn't travel that much as well, so like I wanted to take advantage of the situation. I had that money, I get the moment I felt like rich, and so I was like, might as well.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that, I mean, Tim Ferriss and Rolf Potts and similar people talk about is like time freedom, right? Yeah. So it's like right now, like I've got a pretty good job, but sometimes it feels almost like golden handcuffs sometimes, because it's like I only have X vacation days. And so it's like I'm very blessed to have this job, but I can't go travel for a year.
That's like
because I don't have this income, and
so you have the money, but you don't have time to spend it. So.
Right.
It's kind of like
a balance between.
There's a balance, and you got to know like what you want. Like people, I know like everyone when you're in high school, they're always looking at that database that tells you like, okay, like how much does a chemical engineer make, which is always the one people are looking at, or like anesthesiologist. But like, you're gonna have $300,000 a year, but if you don't have any time to go travel, like what is your real goal? Is it the money, or is it to have freedom?
Because most people, for example, just to add on to that, is like most people will make however much just to save up and then go travel at 65.
Yeah.
But then you don't have your health, so it's like you don't need $100 million to go travel at 60. Like you can do it now, and like you said, it doesn't cost as much as you think.
On that point, everyone needs to read 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, which talks about all of this. We have it right next to us, which is talking about the deferred life plan and how, and like you got to know what your goal is from life, and it's not normally money. It's what the money can bring you, or what you can imagine the money can bring you. But there's lots of people that make 5, 10, 20 times more than me, but they couldn't afford to go in Spain like I did and just like chill on the beach. So that was probably the moment when I felt like the most richest, was like a specific time in
with your ice cream.
La Línea de Concepción, which is like not even that like it's pretty, but I'm pretty sure it's actually like the most drug-ridden part of Spain. It's like where all the drugs come from Africa, but like for me it was fun. It's right by Gibraltar. Yeah. So I would be walking to the beach every day with like my $2 huge ice cream. Like literally get one on the way there, get one on the way back. And I was thinking like, oh my God, like I feel like a billionaire. Like I barely have to work. I can go anywhere I want. Like that was like a moment where I like really was like, oh my gosh. Like, it really sunk in for me.
What did day-to-day look like? And you can pick, I mean, I'm sure it varied from country to country, but pick wherever or talk about a couple. But for each of you, what did it look like when you were both just hanging out, or if Anne-Sophie had her internship in Australia, or whatever?
I think when I did my internships, you were more focused about yourself and your routine.
Yeah. We had different periods where we were more or less focused on like a routine, because we're both like very motivated people, very disciplined people. So like maybe sometimes we'd wake up, we'd do like a meditation, we'd read for this long, we would do something or other to work out. You know, we'd have like a very strict place, but then other times we wouldn't have time, so it'd be more off the cuff, just kind of random stuff. But it really depended on where we were.
But usually we were more like vagabonds.
Less tourists.
Don't have too many plans just for one day. Yep. We were really free, and
we would usually have a primary objective. Like today, we're gonna go towards the Eiffel Tower, and we'll like find some stuff to do on the way there.
And we walked a lot as well, so we spent a lot of time to just explore the place, and
we
took the atmosphere.
15 miles per day on average, according to our iPhones, which is insane if you're from Kansas. Like we don't walk. I think I looked on the chart on my iPhone, and before I was averaging like 1 or 2 miles per day walking, like the entire day, everything I did. And I always had my phone on me, so that's pretty accurate. And then during the trip, it was like a hockey stick to like 10 to 15 miles a day every day. And I also think when I was by myself, I'm way less like planning than Anne-Sophie. She's not like a huge planner for like a tourist, but like I'm way less than her. So for me, it was very, very organic the first 2 months. Like that's how I met most of these people to stay with them, is because I would talk to random people, you know, and like the plaza. So it was really, really random, but which can bring you a lot of experiences. But then also if you're not like outgoing enough, or if you don't find stuff, you could kind of like waste your opportunity of like certain like like if you're in Spain for like a week, you don't want to do that as much, which is why long-term travel is better, I would say, because you have more time to have those.
I think that's a struggle because most people would go, they have 7 to 10 days, maybe it was 2 weeks. It's like a long vacation, and so you try to fit everything in, or you might even go to different countries.
I don't think it's a good way.
It's
better to live like a local.
So if somebody had, let's say, 10 to 14 days, would you recommend just going to one place then and trying to just kind of explore and like like you said, organically meet people and things to do instead of going to like Ireland, France, Belgium, Switzerland, like 10 or 14 days, which a lot of people do. Like I've heard of people going to like London, Paris, Geneva,
just spend the time
Madrid.
in the same country.
Just go to Paris for 14 days and just like
really
be a Parisian and just walk around, you know, have your coffee in the morning real leisurely and like
It's so nice just to have a routine
Yeah.
in another country and
that's better. You're gonna if you do too much where you're like you have a laundry list and you're trying to go through this like I gotta see the Eiffel Tower, I gotta see Pass Versailles, I gotta do all this stuff. You're gonna feel like you're at home a little bit because you're gonna be with American people, you're gonna be with Chinese people, you're not gonna see with a lot of French people. So like, that's not, you won't get the best, most valuable experience if you're too rushed to like see a certain thing.
I feel I was more like a local compared to a tourist.
Yeah,
during
100%.
all this travel.
I think that's important, yeah.
And people would say that too. Like we'd meet other travelers and like we would talk about how we did it versus them, and they're like, "What? Like you guys are like weird." Like,
right.
But I think it was better.
I think going back to Rolf again. He has another book. He was on the Ari Shafir podcast, and they were talking about he has a book that him and some other authors wrote, I believe, called Souvenirs.
Yep.
And so it's talking about how a lot of the souvenirs from different places are what people think the country should be, rather than what it actually is. And so like. I don't know a country off the top of my head, but like a tribal type country, like they'll wear normal clothes, like blue jeans and a t-shirt, but they'll dress up and go put on a show for the tourists because that's what the tourists want to see, and they can sell more stuff to the tourists 100%. Because of that. And so just examples like that, or even, which this is maybe less so, but like a little mini Eiffel Tower thing, which isn't that weird, but like. Yeah, not a lot of French people probably have a little Eiffel Tower keychain.
If you go to Paris and you buy an Eiffel Tower, you're buying a Eiffel Tower made in China, sold by a guy from Senegal. A guy from Senegal, or you know, like Ivory Coast. So it's not attached to France
organic,
at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You bought it in Paris.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not a French artifact like you might think of it as.
Better for you to go buy, or not better. There's no better, but like go buy like a T-shirt made by like a local like artisan,
local cheese and
or just,
a wheel of cheese.
Eat a bunch of patisseries and you'll feel a lot better. And
it's better to buy an experience
than an object.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So I guess you brought up food around the world. What was your favorite? What was different? How was Japan?
Japan.
We'll get into that in a moment, but
that's a Japanese food.
This has been a culinary renaissance for me personally. Like before, I was like the most picky person on the planet. Landon can attest to that. Like
plain hamburgers, just meat and bun, no ketchup, no cheese, no anything,
no condiments,
nuggets,
fries. You know, like we're talking like
no peanut
ground
butter.
Turkey with eggs.
You didn't know what's a salmon or eggplant.
I never had salmon really before. Like, a lot of vegetables,
cheese.
But when I went on the trip,
always cheese.
When I went on the trip, I was just kind of like, okay, it's time to just try stuff. So I started trying everything, and 99% of the stuff I liked, and so I really opened my mind. We cooked a lot, and she really got me into cooking, which helped a lot. I tried a lot that way.
So I think that's another thing. I mean, maybe it's just an aspect of being a long-term tourist, but cooking more than just eating out.
Yeah, right? We didn't. For one, it's way more expensive. For two, we just like cooking, honestly.
And it's like it's like a routine.
It's a routine, yeah. It gives you something
really
like
important. We share something together, and
you can go crazy for like a 2-week trip and like eat out every day, but like if you do that for months, you're gonna go insane. Like you have to have like a sit down meal at your house.
Yeah. And cooking too. I mean, like you stayed with a lot of people, so I'm sure you cooked with some of them on occasion. 100%. So you get like real local, like organic cooking, like what they have and what they would do on a daily basis.
Try and test everything different, prepare.
And going back to the day-to-day, that really changed depending on where we were at. Like some places we live in, like in Croatia, we basically had our own house for over a month, and there we can cook a lot more. But like Japan, we were in a hostel, so like we ate out every day, every single day. And we were talking about the foods as well. Anne-Sophie is allergic to soy, gluten, celery, peanuts, all nuts, kind of milk, raisins, which is wine, and she's French.
Yeah, but I drink wine.
She's allergic to garlic, basically everything. But the two big ones in Japan was soy and gluten, which gluten is all the noodles, and soy is the base for all their cooking. So, and if she eats that stuff, she's like, our stomach's messed up for 2 weeks. So she basically had raw fish and sushi for...
In Japan, the food is one of the most
important parts of the
part
culture,
of the culture. So
the meals, and
I was so frustrated to
frustrated.
Yeah.
to don't be inside the culture
Right.
at 100%.
And that's another thing. Like people, when you talk about Japanese food, people think it's sushi, but like it's actually pretty hard to find sushi in Japan. Like it's not like you can find so many more ramen places and like noodle places and meat places than sushi.
And
you have to walk
even
a long
if
ways.
you want to change if you ask to change the recipe or just like without soy or something,
they get really offended.
Yeah, because it's cultural and you don't have to ask the chef to change the recipe. It's like an insult.
Their recipe is like their perfected like thing they've worked on forever. So if you say like no soy, they're like, why would you want
perfect balance?
Why would you come to me if you don't want this like the way I want it? So like they get really offended and like
that's really hard. Yeah. But my favorite food, I think, it's French food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe Spain and Portugal. It's really good. It's a Mediterranean food.
I would honestly say Japan. Like I would.
For you.
Before the trip, I would never have thought that me, Carson Huslig, would like Japanese food or like eat a lot of it. But like, I ordered every different plate I could. Usually 2 at each meal because I was losing weight like massively during Japan, no matter how much I ate. But so yeah, I would literally try everything, and there was not like one plate that I didn't like, not one dish that I didn't like, and I was kind of shocked about that. But it was amazing.
What is Japanese food? I guess I mean, obviously I've had like stir fry, whatever Japanese is here.
Everything is cooked with a base of miso,
which is like
fermented
soybean
soup bouillon.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have ramen.
You can have the fried thing like
ramen. They have like tempura, which is fried, like
shrimp,
really flaky fried shrimp or different stuff. They have soba, which is buckwheat noodles. Grated yam, fish. Yakitori, which is like shish kebabs, but they're like really small.
The size of the.
What else? Pretty.
Mochi.
Lots of different like desserts, but they're usually rice based. So mochi, if you want to Google that, MOSHI, which is like a rice jello ball with like
mochi ice cream at Dylan's.
Or Whole Foods.
And inside you can have red beans.
And it can be red beans. So like you don't want the red beans exactly.
Matcha.
If you bite into that, make sure it's gonna be strawberry because the red bean one is not as good. But yeah, that just a bunch of random stuff like
they
octopus.
eat a lot of sweet potatoes as well.
Sweet potato, yams, or what is it? Taro,
yeah,
which is like a big yam type thing.
Yep.
But yeah.
Cool. So Anne-Sophie, doing ceramics, what kind of internships did you do? Where were those? What was that like in other countries?
So my first internship was in Australia. I did like a residency during 1 month in an art center. It was really interesting, but I think my favorite one was the last one with Just Kitson, who is a famous ceramist artist, more like artist. But she used ceramics as medium, glass, and
fur
as well. And it was really amazing because so we lived with her. So I was really immersed with her daily routine.
They were like connected at the hip the entire month, basically.
Everything, 7 days. So
working all the time.
Yeah, it was really, really, really an incredible experience for me.
And it gave her kind of like the chance to be like, not in the shoes, but like in the trenches with like a really high level artist.
See what it looks like to be there.
Yeah,
like they would go to the beach together and like swim every morning in the cold water. They would work all day and they'd listen to the same podcast. We'd eat dinner together. Like it was really cool.
That's cool.
Very good opportunity.
Very cool. So do you guys have any other crazy stories that come to mind from any of the countries or?
Maybe your first day in
Croatia.
I
was going to talk about that earlier, but when I went to Croatia, so I didn't have I was talking about that, but I forgot to finish the story. I arrived at the port because I took the bus from the airport, and I didn't have my Airbnb. So I'm going to the Airbnbs, and there's only like one, and it's like not walkable distance, and it's already pitch black, and I don't know anything about Croatia, so I was kind of like I got to figure this out. So I'm asking people for rides, and I talked to this girl, and I asked her if she could give me a ride, and she said no, but like people have like run Ubers for me. Like she owned cars and had people do like Uber for her to make money. So this guy comes and picks me up, and he takes me to the Airbnb, and it's like an abandoned building with like abandoned apartment building, no lights, like no street lights, so it's like pitch black. Like I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
The walls are all graffitied up, broken windows.
This is where I die.
I'm like, this is where it ends. Like 4 months is the point where it's all over. But so I get the guy's number just in case. I'm like, yeah, like maybe y'all need something, or, you know. And I go there. This sweaty, overweight Croatian woman runs up to me, and she's like, hello, I'm blah blah blah, and like she takes me into the room. I go up to the room. The Wi-Fi doesn't work, so I'm just like, okay, like this isn't gonna be fine. Like,
Not a good start.
first of all, you're gonna give me $20 right now because I'm not having Wi-Fi. That's like crucial for me. And then second of all, I took that, like the Wi-Fi, you know, it's not the end of the day, but like she needs to give me money, so she gives me $20 back.
Wi-Fi because you use WhatsApp instead of internet.
I never paid for any phone stuff on the entire trip, so like I always use Wi-Fi, WhatsApp, and then also to make money and do everything on my business stuff.
Okay, back to the story.
Wi-Fi is crucial. But anyway, so I get it $20 out of the 40 for the Airbnb, and then I'm like, okay, but this is crappy, but it's fine. Then she leaves, and I go in the bathroom, and there's like cockroaches and stuff everywhere, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, why did I come to this country? Oh my God, like this is horrible. Like this is like one of the first times I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing here? But I sleep there somehow, probably in like dirty sheets, hopefully not, but I haven't been tested yet, but probably dirty. And then the next day, the guy that I call has a cousin who has a brand new apartment. Her name was like Anna. They have a brand new apartment with their family, and she gave me like a super good deal. I stayed in an amazing apartment the entire like over a month. Anne-Sophie comes. There's amazing blue beaches, and Croatia ends up being like one of our favorite countries. So
it worked out.
You never know what you're gonna get really.
You can't judge a whole place by one experience.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people would like freak out. Maybe they dip out after that, but like.
And then they might tell everybody
Croatia sucks.
Croatia sucks, and those people will never experience Croatia.
We hear that a lot. Also, people, you can never listen to what people say. People, they're always gonna tell you from their anecdotal experience. Like, maybe someone went to like this part of Australia, they're gonna say, "Oh, that place is boring. There's nothing to do." But like me and Anne-Sophie go there and we do a bunch of hikes, and it's like the best time ever. So like, don't listen to what people say always, and kind of like figure it out for yourself.
Sure. Just any other stories off the top of your head?
I think just I want to mention all the workaways we did in New Zealand.
Yeah, can you explain that a little bit?
So the concept is you work for family or
like a ranch or like a farm usually, or it depends.
And you have the food and the accommodation
for free.
So you work basically 4 hours a day.
So like maybe you're pulling weeds
maybe
like
5 days per week. Yeah. That's a good workaway.
Yeah, like herding sheep in New Zealand, or like picking weeds in like a villa, or like it can be anything really, and it really depends on like which one you get, if it's gonna be good or not. But that was like a really
one bad experience, and
we had one bad out of like 4.
All the other.
But we used the workaways for kind of like a break from moving around so much when we were in New Zealand, and then also to like I would have no expenses, so I could make my whatever money per day, and just that would go straight to the bank account instead of spending it on food, even if it was like a cheap place. Like free is always good, so saved a lot that way.
No doubt. Yeah, that's a great way.
What would another story be?
The big hike in New Zealand.
Which one?
Ben Lomond.
What do you want to say about it?
It was crazy.
We did like a.
I think it's my craziest.
There's Ben Lomond mountain.
In Queenstown?
It's in Queenstown, New Zealand, and we hiked up it in like 60% of the recommended time probably, and we're not like we hiked a lot, so we're in pretty good shape at this point, but like it was a crazy time, and that was like the most tired we'd ever been on a hike. Really. Like we did tons of hiking, like my legs were jello at the top, like lungs are burning, like it
was crazy, the feeling in your body.
Yeah, it was like your body was gonna shut down on like I played sports my whole life. I've done wrestling, I've done all this stuff. We did tons of hikes together, and like I'd never been that tired. And it was getting really cold at the top, and most of the people on these hikes would always have like a camping backpack and like boots and like pants and like 3 different jackets and all this stuff. Me and Anne-Sophie would have like my little like
drawstring
tote bag, like Wichita State. Shout out to Wichita State, my little free Wichita State tote bag that I had the entire trip.
Yeah, that's true.
And like
Nike shoes and
Nike tennis shoes that were like super worn out and like just terrible equipment, but we did them all like that, so we're really cool. But like,
just be minimalist.
But bare minimalist. But yeah, it was just. But yeah, that one was the hardest hike, and that was a great experience. Yeah. Did you ever party in Morocco?
Yeah, maybe Morocco.
My first day in Morocco, which was a interesting introduction to Africa.
Yeah, you didn't mention Morocco.
Yeah, we didn't. No, I did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I went to Morocco, and because I was in Spain. I was in the south of Spain, and Tarifa has a ferry for very cheap to go to Morocco. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Africa. You know, I gotta say that, like, who has the chance to go to Africa sometime. So I went to Morocco, but it was right in the middle of Ramadan, so it's probably not the best time to go. Like,
and you stayed in Tangier. So.
And I stayed in like a non-touristic place, which was a negative and a positive. Like, it was kind of cool to be just in the middle of like little African culture. But when I first get there, everyone's trying to sell me hash, drugs, like all this stuff. Like, an old man tells me I need to go put pants on because it's Ramadan, and some men, like, their wives are gonna look at my legs and be jealous. And like, I was like, what? So it was like really different culture. But so like I get like harassed by all these people trying to sell me stuff, like when you get off the boat, like always, like, because they're trying to get the dumb tourist like me at the time. So I get past most of them, but I'm talking to this guy from Chile, and this like young Moroccan guy seems like somewhat trustworthy because he probably does that all day. And he's like, yeah, man, like, what do you need a hotel? I'm like, no, I'm good, but like, you want something to eat? And I was like, yeah, but like, that was a huge mistake. But I was like, yeah, take me to somewhere to eat. So he takes me to his family's restaurant. I'm like the only one eating there because it's Ramadan, so this is already like sketchy. Like, everyone's looking at me. I get like a traditional Moroccan thing, and I don't know any of the currency there or anything, so it's like kind of a very poor situation. And it starts out, they say they have no menu, first of all, which now that I know, I'm like, that's terrible. But like, at the time I didn't really know, so I'm like, okay, whatever, like, how much does it cost? It says 15, which is super expensive for Morocco. I eat the meal, he comes back, so $20. And I was like, nah, like, you definitely said 15. And he's like, okay, 15, no problem. Like, I don't have any of their money, so like his 16-year-old son and the 18-year-old guy that was like took me there, take me to the ATM. I get money out of the ATM, and the guy's like, "You're going to pay my effing father. Like, I don't care." Like, and I was like, "Oh my god, like, dude, like, I'm gonna pay him." Like, this was like a weird situation, so I didn't know. And I was like going through little alleyways and like the old Medina, which is like, it looks like Africa like 1,000 years ago. So it was really sketchy, and that was another time when I was kind of uncomfortable, but.
Did you not read The Alchemist before this? That's how Santiago lost all of his money. He
it was
trusted
the same,
somebody in Morocco.
It was the same situation, yeah. So if you go to Morocco, be very careful. They're excellent scammers and businessmen, whatever you want to call it.
Be careful, or just don't go there. Go somewhere else.
Or just don't go there, yeah. But it's probably nice spots.
We have to go there again, but maybe
redemption.
Yeah. Give it another try.
Yes.
The old cold try.
Have to.
All right. So we have some other questions that I kind of ask everybody, but a big reason I wanted to bring you on was that I think it's kind of an inspiration for people, like, especially our age. Like, you don't have to just go get a job, right? You can find a different path. You can go travel now and that kind of thing. But so just real quick, do you have any other just advice off the top? You kind of touch on a little bit, advice for people that feel stuck or about to get out of school or anything like that.
Don't feel the pressure of society when you get out of college. Like, I just did a 14-month trip around the world, and when I come back, like, most of my friends are still like just starting their job, or like you're not gonna fall behind.
You can have 1 year off.
You can have as many years as you want. There's no like pace you gotta follow in life. Like, you're not gonna fall behind. Most of the time, if you do something different like that, you're actually gonna get ahead. So don't worry about falling behind, and just do what feels right to you at the time. You can't really go wrong.
You don't have to be rich as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Misconception.
All right, so what is something you guys often recommend to people, whether that's books, podcasts, movies, music, whatever?
I really like Oprah Winfrey's podcast.
Oh, yeah?
It's really
I haven't listened to that at all.
It's really solid, yeah.
It's really good. I listen to that when I do some ceramics and stuff. Yeah.
I'd say Tim Ferriss Show podcast, Tim Ferriss's books.
Tim Ferriss.
I'm kind of a fan. Aubrey Marcus podcast.
Joe Rogan.
Eckhart Tolle, which is like the Power of Now. It's a good audio book, a regular book.
L'Alchemist.
Alchemist. Yeah. Meditation.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite failure in any aspect of your life?
I think
this is actually pretty interesting. We have a similar story on that. Like, growing up, like, my main focus, or not growing up, but like probably after like middle school, I always wanted to be a Division I football player, and like that was my main goal after everything. And like, I always knew I was gonna play Division I football, and then I'll do whatever afterwards. But that wasn't my issue right now. I'm not gonna concern myself with that. So I focused on that, and then like sophomore, junior year of high school, I started developing like a chronic like tibia injury, like stress fracture, shin splints, that thing. had 2 surgeries. They didn't get better. So I went to junior college and to like try to give it a year to heal and play again, but they never got better. So like I kind of had this big dream that basically fizzled out before it could even get going when I was like super motivated and super dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Anne-Sophie.
I went to Paris to study ceramics at school, but maybe after 1 month I had different allergies to materials and food, and all the doctors told me that I have to stop to study.
No more ceramics and art.
So
Wow,
so interesting.
So the only options I had was to be like teacher or study marketing and stuff. So I was ready to do that, but I did an internship in Switzerland and everything was going well.
With art again, like
yes.
the allergies weren't affecting her because it wasn't the allergy to the ceramics. It was like another part of that school in Paris.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Did they use like a different something?
Yeah,
it was like something with like the
in
top
France
here, yeah.
or the art school, you can study different mediums and stuff. But in Switzerland,
wow,
the school was only for ceramics or photography,
gotcha.
so I didn't have the allergen.
Did you ever find out what that was?
Yes,
Something
it was
it
like
different.
a glue. Or
It's like a binding agent between different like materials.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it sparked all that. So we both kind of had like a big dream that
Broken.
fizzled out. She kind of got back into hers, but mine was obviously like a permanent thing. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Which kind of like, I think it kind of made us like jaded at first, or like you were kind of like depressed for a while, right?
Oh yeah.
I definitely
really
was.
Bad.
Like I didn't know like where I wanted to go with my life, but then that brings
I spent 1 year like that, just study marketing stuff and.
Yeah. It's not what you love, and
no,
like you're gonna.
It was terrible.
Right.
For me, it wasn't like I didn't. Yeah, like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I had to kind of transition, and then you found your way back, and then.
Yeah, for sure. So what is your definition of success? It's a deep one.
Whew. I think it's just, for me, it's not to have a ton of money or stuff, because I'm an artist and I know. But just doing what you love and don't do that you don't want to do. It's just like, I don't want to force me or push me to do something
that you don't like.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time. Yeah. For me, success is. It's definitely a personal question. Like what I say isn't not going to be the definition of success for other people, but I would say to constantly be evolving and challenging yourself and pushing yourself to do things that excite you, like big projects, ambitious projects, and doing it with the people that you love, like my brothers, my best friends, you know, and just having like a kind of like a tribe that's you're always like going for something bigger and like yeah, but not that you're not happy on the way there. Like you should be happy the entire way, because it should be stuff that you like doing and stuff that you love, and then just like keep going on that trajectory of improvement.
Yep, absolutely. Do you have a life motto you live by, or what's the best advice you've received?
I think for me it's follow your instincts.
Intuition.
Especially during the trip or
in life in general, probably.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really have one until like 15 minutes before this podcast when I read the list of questions, but I would say "ça va aller," which is a French phrase, which means like it's going to go, it's going to be fine, and like that was like a big theme on the trip. I would say like there was a lot of times when stuff would happen, and like in the beginning, the first couple months, maybe I would freak out, and then when I was with Anne-Sophie later on, she would still freak out, and like we learned that it's gonna be fine. And it's kind of like I said earlier, like nothing's that serious, and like you don't ever need to get that worked up. Like it's just life. Like it's not that important.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, you're gonna be fine in like a certain amount of time. So just don't stress about it.
And find the positive.
And be positive. Yeah, definitely be positive.
For sure. What is a habit that you've developed over the past couple of years, or over this trip, that's most improved your life?
Oof. I think for me, the doing my workouts every day, just to be focused and control my feeling, my body, and just that helped me a lot. And I'm so happy to do that even when I travel, or it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
My first like 2 answers that come to my head, like the quick reaction would be reading and meditation, because like the reading led to the meditation, led to like a bunch of different ideas and ways of thinking for me. But the more I think about it, I would say being more outgoing and just like finding opportunities in life by just talking to people, like nothing's gonna happen to you. Like you just gotta try, like talk to people, see what's gonna happen. Like it's fun, and you're gonna learn a lot from people. So
for sure,
definitely.
So just a couple left. What is your favorite part of Wichita, Carson, and then Anne-Sophie? So far, what's your favorite part of Wichita?
I think it's the lake behind the house, Laguna Lake.
My favorite part of Wichita, I don't want to offend anybody here, but honestly, on these 14 months of travel, I'd never really missed Wichita, the physical, the city, any of that. But I missed the people here and family. My friends and family, for sure. Just the Midwest people as well.
Is there anything you wish Wichita had that it doesn't, or anything you would improve about Wichita?
The ocean. No, but seriously, yeah. We were by the ocean like 12 out of the 14 months. Like we were always by a beach, and nothing can replace that, honestly. Like
yeah, but it's just
it's unfortunate, but like it's just not possible. But definitely the ocean. Yeah.
And maybe a public transportation.
Public transport, yes.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know. Have you taken it here at all?
No. I don't even.
I know we have like certain bus routes and stuff. I've never actually taken it, but I know that it's not great.
Imagine
we have tried the bus in Los Angeles and it was terrible.
Imagine how much cheaper, more convenient, and safer it would be if like we live on like around Kellogg and 143rd. If you could just get on the Kellogg Metro and you could just like read your book, arrive in Wichita in like 6 minutes, and downtown Wichita and go to your job, walk to your job.
You have so much time.
Don't have to take care of your car. You have more time on your commute to. Like, you can safely text people. You can safely do all these things.
Yeah.
Well, and not just public transportation, but also, like, walkability, right? So you guys are almost on an island out here. Like, the YMCA's a mile and a half away. Dillon's is about a mile away, whatever. But, like, for you to get across town, like, in Australia or wherever, you guys are just walk a lot of places,
metro,
right?
Yeah. It's so different. And
that's
like
could be nice to use a bike or something.
Yeah, even, like, we can't really, like...
Because you're not going to ride your bike down Kellogg.
You can't, right? It's even,
I don't think
it's illegal.
So.
Yeah, but you can't really do that.
You'd have to go out of your way and take back roads and hire your pony.
It's a very different style of life.
Imagine a system like BlaBlaCar.
Yeah.
Like the people who
for the
wants
interstate,
to...
like going in between states for sure. But
who works I want the same place.
It's just a different, really different cultural style of life.
Yeah,
and, like, you can't really know the difference until you live there for a while. And that's like a big thing I miss for sure.
For sure. So I guess I did skip one question that I'm going to jump back to, and then we'll get to the last one. But what are your guys' plans for the future? So how long are you here? What's the next step?
We're here for
10 months.
10 months with our internship. Me, I'm just gonna grind it out every day, read a lot, save as much money as possible, and hopefully
improve your business. And
at least keep this business like status quo, and then try to think of like a big, more ambitious project, and we'll see with that. And then after that.
I would like to do some residencies in different countries.
Are you familiar? Do you know residencies? Is that common here? Besides what I told you?
Kind of. Go live somewhere. And
residency is like, if you think of like back in the Leonardo da Vinci days where they kind of like...
You applied for residency, so you pay a rent to have a studio, so a place to work, a place to do some exhibition, to live.
It's just like a collection of artists together, and usually you can get like a scholarship for it. So it's like a time for you to work together and make projects and improve your craft and all that. So
you can do that everywhere in the world.
So we might do that.
Maybe in South America.
Yeah. Do you have any countries in mind that you really want to go visit?
Argentina. Or
maybe Bali.
We'll see. It's too far
Thailand,
in the future.
Yeah. See.
We're not really long term.
Living in the moment.
Yes.
The power of now.
Present moment. Always.
Okay. So the last question is, what does Wichita mean to you?
You want to start? That's it.
You've been here for a long time, so
maybe just have a break and think about all the different things I learned during my big trip with you, and think about the future. Think about a way to work with the ceramics and stuff, and find a way to have like collectors or public.
More publicity and kind of like get to the next level as an artist. That's it for you.
Sure.
For me, Wichita means to me, Wichita is, if you read or if you've seen The Lord of the Rings, it's the Shire. Wichita is like the home base where the adventure starts for all of us Wichitans, and eventually, or maybe never, but most people want to go out and destroy the ring in Mordor, and then you come back to Wichita. You bring back what you learned, and you can change Wichita. You can make Wichita better. Maybe you have to go on another adventure, but it's always that home that pure place that you can return to, where the harvest is always going to be good, and there's good people here, and you have all your friends and family.
We can do the dance if you want.
You dance on the tables at the bars. And,
All right, that's all I had. So we'll probably do another one of these in the future, but this is fun. Appreciate
Sure.
it.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Thanks for having us.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you to everyone who stuck it out and listened to this episode of the Wichita Live podcast. Thanks to the local Wichita band, The Caves, for use of their song. You can find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at wichitalifeict.com. If you have any comments or recommendations for our podcast, feel free to contact us at wichitalifeict@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, hasta luego.